So let's start with the CPI report today in the U.S.
Yes.
Because it reverberates around the world due to the fact that it was too hot. It suggests the Federal Reserve will do more aggressive rate hikes,
Yes.
not start cooling it off.
Yes.
Strengthens the dollar.
Yes.
So right off the top of your head, how does this affect you now as you look at your next policy meeting and think, which way are we going to have to go?
Well, definitely, we may not necessarily match it, but we cannot do 25 basis points.
You're going to do 25?
We cannot do 25.
Oh, you cannot do 25?
Yeah. So it's really a question of whether it's 50 or 75. And I cannot say what we're doing because I don't know how the rest of the board will vote.
Of course, but 75 would be quite a step for the Central Bank of the Philippines.
Yes. So it's the advantage of 75 is it probably will reduce the pressure on the peso. And also reduce inflation, but in the in 18 months or so. But the disadvantage, of course, is that the economy has not really fully recovered yet from well, it's recovering from COVID, and we want that recovery to continue, to remain robust.
So the peso is down, what, 13% this year?
Yes.
Clearly it's a concern. How big of a driver is that part of it? Because your inflation rate is still high, but you have this worry about an economy that isn't fully recovered. So how much of a factor pushing you towards even doing a 75 basis point hike is the weakness in the peso?
Let me put it this way. If I've been told that the Fed is no longer raising the rates, I would say we've done enough already, because our forecast of inflation is that it's already target consistent. The path is already target consistent. That by 2024 we will be back to 3%, the middle of our 2 to 4% target. But this changes everything, because if this pushes the peso to become too weak, then it could add to the inflation. So clearly, what the Fed does has a very significant effects on what we will do.
All right, my colleague Haidi in Sydney is going to join with a question now.
Governor, there's been some talk amongst the G7 at least about the effectiveness of potential coordinated currency action. Is this something that you would support if the FX markets get more volatile, if currency reserves are becoming a problem, particularly for some emerging markets?
Well, I think the best possible action, of course, is a globally coordinated action. But I'm not sure that I'm not sure that it could happen. It could happen. Yes, because if every country doing its own will be less effective than in all the countries together addresses the overly strong dollar.
Governor Medalla, good to see you again. Would we see those RRR cuts that you talked about before year end, and how would that really complement your monetary policy stance?
Well, of course the way it looks, the Fed is going to probably do at least 2 more 75s and maybe another 50. And in which case, for the Philippines, it's all a question of how much we will respond. Okay. The argument for not responding point by point is that our inflation rate is lower. But the argument for doing something bolder is that the pressure on the currency also has to be addressed.
Governor Medalla, foreign exchange reserves are declining, and you have been intervening in the currency market. And I guess that's one reason why you do a 75 basis point hike, because you want to save those reserves. And as you know, the IMF has warned against saving your reserves when you need them. Is that what you're inclined to do? And are there other steps you can take to support the peso as needed?
Well, actually, what's on the table is a combination of using reserves, raising rates. Okay, so that will be on the table. And of course, if possible, some form of international cooperation. But as I said, I do not consider that to be very likely.
Are you like other, I mean, you said your economy isn't fully recovered. Your inflation is still high, but you need to move and move aggressively. Some global leaders have criticized the Fed for going on a path that is causing this kind of turmoil for other economies around the world. Do you think the Fed is moving too quickly? Do you think the Fed should recalibrate and maybe slow down the pace and size of rate hikes?
No, I think the Fed is totally entitled to address their own the problems of the United States. I completely understand why the Fed is doing what it's doing, because clearly its actions must be to achieve what is good for the U.S. economy.
So are there any other more supports, pandemic measures to support the economy? Anything else you think that the government needs to do that is needed to support the economy while you have to move aggressively raising rates?
Well, the government can reduce import restrictions on key agricultural products to alleviate the inflation, reduce the inflation.
I guess it all comes back to reducing inflation for everyone.
Yes, yes.